just like that, Season 2 of Children of the Mountain was underway. Not only Division 1 in the Baltics, but Division 2 in the Serranos as well, simultaneously in another lobby hosted by Jim Bob, and that's absolutely fantastic for me. The series is already practically running itself, and while that will have an effect on the content I can provide, it certainly makes my life a lot easier. Now, Frink had a think about passing me at the hairpin, but I was able to hold it. Meanwhile, Headshot's been Headshot and he's doing barrel rolls over my roof, but I'll give him 10 out of 10 for style and attempt to give it a go myself, before realising that Cunning Stunts hasn't been released yet. After that, it started to chuck it down, which kind of set the tone, really, for what was to come. Shortly after that, I managed to find the only way to miss the easiest checkpoint to clock, and with everybody behind me having already pitted, well, it was decidedly over for me at this point. Nevertheless, the game mercilessly ended me anyway, and saw to it that no comeback drive would be possible. So, pretty savage start to Season 2. I don't know, something just felt off for me. I was disconnecting 2 hours prior to the race, and I knew it would happen again. Nevertheless, Nima walked away with the win with that 2:45.0 as the fastest lap, which is why I'm including this screenshot on screen right now of a 2:44.9 if you look at the current lap there before it changed to 0. Really clutching at straws this week for my purple points. I did actually decide to continue the race because I was curious to see how my total time would stack up against the rest, but the game was having none of it. Of course, that would mark the final disconnection of my series of disconnections, and my connection would go on to be completely fine for the rest of the day, but I'm not bitter about it. Division 4 got underway and Evil Tunic stretched out quite a significant lead. That is until 80 Horse, who you can see coming through there in second, managed to close that gap right down to about 2 seconds in the final few laps. Great performance from him. I'm Awesome, after dealing with a couple of laggy incidents, came in third, followed by Moderated Account. Everybody's very beepy today. Dodger picked up fifth, and my coming back was a reserve in sixth. So, congratulations to Evil Tunic, a victory in Division 4 last week, and your track selected as the track for this week. Not a bad week for you. So there are the results. There was a nice scrap between 5th and 8th, which mattered because promotions stretched all the way down to 8th in this division. Meanwhile, Division 2 had 5 no-shows, so that's 5 automatic relegations. Everybody could just enjoy the race without fear of being relegated, and in short, Uchiha plus Serrano equals victory for Uchiha, no matter where he starts. I have to say I was a bit worried about Division 3 with all of these big names and their big egos making their debuts all at the same time, but it was one of the best races. Please go and watch Crazy Chris's video. He's uploaded his first ever commentary, and that deserves a view if nothing else. Straight on to the rambling recap. Let's address the elephant in the room. I'm in Division 2. My streak of being in Division 1 ended just like that. Granted, I was driving just as bad, if not worse, than Headshot, and he still got relegated, so it was pretty much guaranteed that I was going down either way, disconnection or no disconnection this race. However, I did pick up my purple points, and it's always pleasing to see that you're the fastest guy in the lobby, not that it matters if you get relegated. Now, while Nima95 and Macy were contending to see who could do the best 360 on track and not lose the lead, Jodkiev and Awez were putting in sensational drives to come all the way from the back to hit the top 4, and they did so. It sounded like a great race, which I wish I could have been a part of, contending in the middle of the pack there, because everybody in the chat afterwards was saying, what a race, great race, the battle for first was non-stop until the line. I really wish I could have been mixing it in there with you guys, but I'm glad you got some enjoyment out of it no matter where you finished. Of course, no divisional bonus points this week, so you could say that race 1 doesn't really have as much of an effect on the standings as the next few races will. I always hold off the divisional bonus points until the next race to give everybody a chance to settle into the division that they quote-unquote should be in. Clearly I should be in Division 2, but yes, divisional bonus points will kick in next week. I remember Uchiha's performance in the Benefactor Championship, and the Serrano round was just his round. I don't know what it is about the Serrano, but Uchiha seems to gel with it pretty well. As you can see here, he picked up the fastest lap and a great victory considering he started 13th or 12th. It was an amazing drive because the competition was certainly no slack. He spent the final few laps chasing down Charles the King, and if you'd like to see the amazing overtake that he pulled on Charles the King for the lead, then head on over to his channel because it's all uploaded there. Mo Youngstar had a reserve in place in the form of Jamie LFC. Now, first of all, congratulations to Jamie for getting 4th in a race like this. Second of all, thank you for giving me a spectacular example of how the new reserve driver rules are working this season. So if a reserve driver finishes in the top 5, then the promotions extend beyond 5th. In this case, granting UFO driver that promotion to Division 1, which I'm sure he'll be pleased about, having just missed out last season. Crowgamer, Dylan and Digsterpop couldn't hang on to their starting positions and eventually, throughout the course of the race, succumbed to the faster drivers behind, but they're not going anywhere. They maintain their position in Division 2 for a number of reasons. 14th and 15th, Chris D and Weimarogko, they're dropping out of competitive GTA for a little while, so they were automatic eliminations from the league, whereas Mostly Wanted and Gaming Easter Egg just didn't show up. Racing Benji was slightly late and had to race as a late driver in another division, which is where he picked up his 2 points, and that means that Jakey H3 has hung on to his position through merely circumstance. He arrived well on time, but due to his terrible connection, he just couldn't connect to the lobby, and basically out of pity, we've decided to allow him to stay in Division 2. So just a reminder, guys, if you do need a reserve, please don't leave that up to me. I just don't have any time to organise that stuff anymore. I'm going to leave the waiting list at the end of this video so you can see who's waiting to race, and you already know the drivers in a lower division to you, so please organise that between yourselves and then send a message to me. Right, here we go. We've got the unofficial Division 1 all kicking off in Division 3. So we've got BC Eagles Guy, Crazy Chris, Defiance, Watty and Manny. Now, Chris through to Manny were all supposed to start 11th to 14th, but with a couple of reserves in place, they got knocked forward a few positions. Nevertheless, these guys are putting in more practice prior to the race than any other driver, so their practice is paying off because all 4 of them managed to cut through the field and finish in the top 5, securing their place in Division 2. BC Eagles Guy had the easier job of the 5. He started nearer the front and just had to hang on to the lead, which he almost failed to do as Crazy Chris was hot-lapping the shit out of that track to close up the gap in the final few laps, and perhaps with one more lap, who knows what could have happened. Now, are these guys the new faces of Division 1? Are they going to change the landscape at the top of Children of the Mountain? Well, that remains to be seen. I mean, this race did feature some rather amateur mistakes in terms of not judging quite how wide the brand new 770 was. There were several similar instances where they pushed the car right up to the curb and the lampposts and just clipped them, sending them hurtling over the road and into the wall. But what I liked most about this division, and what I like most about Children of the Mountain, is that it's bringing out the absolute best in these drivers. Perhaps on a day-to-day basis playing this game, they are more used to racing with their friends as fast as they can, not worrying about if they run into the back of them or if they're playing non-contact. I know Defiance and Watty and Manny are from a non-contact background, and Crazy Chris is a ridiculous hot lapper, but coming from that background and into contact racing, you really have to have the ability to switch that off and back on again when the time is right. And just from watching Crazy Chris's video, which you should definitely go and watch, as I said before, he was consciously making an effort to employ that, and I appreciate that more than anything. So with that attitude to racing and with that mindset, these 4 are really going to go far. Not to take any credit away from BC Eagles Guy, who's here now on PS4, having spent most of his time on Xbox, and he's already picked up his 2nd win in a Division 3 race. Let's see how far you're able to climb up the standings this time, BC. I remember reading in the chat after the race that JBeast888 wasn't too pleased about the way he fell back down to 6th. Perhaps an incident or 2 occurred there. Nevertheless, that's just the way racing goes sometimes, I think. And Jeroen's reserve got him into 7th, so that's good. FBIS Sosa came through in 8th, and Jim Bob Stroud, who started on pole, fell all the way down to 9th, just beating out the Steak Sauce, who apparently had a horrible race to forget. Nevertheless, you guys will start in a decent position in the next race, so it all works out in the end. Nus Manel, you have to attend the next race or you'll be eliminated, and I think Haribo disconnected, which is why he ended up in 12th with points. Other than that, Iggy didn't show. I don't think he could attend this time. No response from Jilla J, that's Pak Mahad's new account, and AJ Axel is quitting the league, so that's the reason why they're in the bottom 3. Oh god, there's another division now, isn't there? I thought I was pretty much done, but no, it goes on. So, here we go. After some very early disconnections, RoboMac on the grid, Mighty Gunners shortly after, and with Dawson L arriving just a fraction too late, those guys found themselves in the bottom 5, but they need not worry because they haven't been eliminated. I needed more people in Division 4 this week due to all of the promotions that were taking place into Division 3 to fill the void of Chris D leaving, Weimarogko and AJ Axel. I believe there's one mistake there actually. Sorry to break your dreams, Connor, but Connor hasn't been promoted. Your name is just in green. The final promotion there is DG Greenaway. I have to say, this race was interesting. You often see drivers at this level suffer from fatigue a lot sooner than you do with drivers from the top divisions, and that usually makes for an unpredictable race that you can never really call until the end. While Evil Tunic seemingly had a decisive lead over the rest of the competition, 80 Horse was able to close it right up in the final lap, and I would have loved to see one more lap to see if he would have got him. Apart from that, the battle between Dodger, My Coming Back, who was reserving for Golub Shreko, Shady Fruit, DJ Greenaway and Connor went right until the end. I really didn't know who was going to come out on top in that collection of drivers, and in the end it did matter because the final promotion slot cut off at Greenaway, and Connor is the one who has lost out, unfortunately. Anyway, speaking of fatigued, that is kind of how I'm feeling at the moment, so I'm going to try and wrap this up. Stenrab, you are the only elimination from this week. The new event details and grid video has gone up, so you can see who the next Division 4 drivers are. And Stenrab, I will add you to the bottom of the waiting list again. Speaking of the waiting list, let's take a look at it. If you can't see your name on this list and you know that you've asked me, please send me another message. Also, everybody on this list should be in the PS4 waiting list chat, so if you're not, again, send me a message. You should be in this chat because this is where we organise the waiting list race, which also takes place every Sunday. Let's take a look at the results of last Sunday's waiting list race. It was all organised by Mr. Bass, and thank you to the Gonzo for volunteering to be pitman. And although it had a really small turnout on Sunday, as soon as the results were posted in the chat, several people were like, what? There was a race? Yes, there is a waiting list race. It's right here, and these guys had the hardest car to drive, and they still set a faster lap time than the Division 1 guys. So get yourselves involved. There is a waiting list race. It also gives us some insight as to the kind of drivers that will be coming into Division 4 in the near future. So keep your eyes on Supply GTA and Thol, because they put in some fantastic laps in the Shafter V12, which, as I said, is not an easy car to drive, and they will surely be contenders in Division 4 once they make the transition. So congratulations Supply, a nice victory for you. Now let's move on to the standings. Oh my god, take a picture! Evil Tunic is number 2 in Children of the Mountain. Tied for first, in fact. That is the result of Evil Tunic and Uchiha's victories in their respective divisions while simultaneously earning the fastest lap. As you can see, I'm doing a fantastic job down there with Sean L in 33rd and 34th, but this is what I like about the first race of the season. There's no divisional bonus points. Everyone, for just a moment, just 1 week, is on an even playing field, and you get to revel in your success for the first race. Right, I'm going to wrap things up there, so feel free to browse this standings table at your own leisure by pausing the video, and I hope to see you all this Sunday on Racetrack Grand Prix, Autodromo de Grand Prix de Racetrack Racecourse NASCAR de Spinning Grand Prix Autodromo de Automodromo, National Circuit. Okay, thanks guys, see you soon.